We are right in the heart of summer theater season in Maine, and at Ogunquit Playhouse right now, they are presenting one of the classics of American musical theater, Cabaret. With us here on 207, two of the stars, Kate Shindle and Randy Harrison. Thanks for coming in. Good to have you both here.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Not your first rodeo with Cabaret, is it, Kate?
No, we've both done it before.
Yeah, we're both alumni.
Yeah.
What is it like? I mean, this is what actors do. They often revisit shows, and that is a wonderful thing because there's nothing better than being able to get a great role in a great show, and there's a finite number of them. So what is it like when you come back after having done it? Do you really bring a different experience and a different perspective and a different performance, Kate?
Absolutely. I mean, when I first met Sally Bowles, I was 23. I had been out of college less than a year, and I went on the national tour. And I've revisited. This is my 5th staging of this production, and you learn a lot about yourself, obviously, just to state the obvious, as you get older, and you also relate differently to the things that the character's experiencing. So they don't come along that often. I don't know if anybody's told you, like, not all musicals are equally good, but when you find one that's amazing, you want to keep doing it.
Right, and you guys have these just magnificent roles. Sally Bowles, you play the MC, Randy. I mean, these are great roles. How would you say your performance is different now in this production at Ogunquit from the first time you ever played the role?
Well, I mean, I would say the thing, because my scene partner is really the audience, so what's happening in the country and in the region that I'm performing the show really changes my relationship to the character, my relationship to the material. So, you know, I think I started doing the show 4 years ago, and things have changed significantly in this country, politically and socially. And that really changes the way that I perform the role and how the audience responds to the material.
That's interesting because that's not a comment that one hears from actors usually, because actors have to resist the impulse to get too stagey and too hammy and really play to the audience. They're there to do what they're supposed to do,
right.
But it's different for you.
This role is really different than any other one. I mean, I'm relating directly to the audience. I'm adjusting to try to get specific kinds of responses out of them. It can be dangerous when you do it for too long. You try to do something else.
What would you say is the biggest difference in the way you're portraying your character of Sally Bowles from the first time out?
Well, you know, in a very strange way, I've always liked stories of women finding their power, and in a very strange way, Sally finds her power in this show. It is, in some respects, a self-destructive power, and I've learned to distance myself from that part of it once I leave the stage, out of necessity and survival. But there is something to be said for, you know, the choices that you have when you fall in love when you're 23 versus the choices that you have when you're not. You know, there's conversation about whether to have a child, you know, who you choose to be with and when and why. And so I would say that, like, you know, it drives me a little nuts when people try to see too much of themselves in the character,
right.
But at the same time, this is all I got, you know, so I have to use the things that I relate to create the emotional response.
This may be kind of a strange question, but when you are 60 seconds away from walking out on stage for the first time each evening, what's going through your head?
I get really nervous still every time, because I'm behind this door and there's a drum roll. It's just such a dramatic moment, and I'm standing there waiting to open the slot and peer at the audience, and I get excited and nervous every time.
Do you still get nervous?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Well, yeah. I don't think that goes away. I hope it never goes away. Although sometimes it's uncomfortable. You know, it's such an important story, and as Randy is saying, it's such an important story now. And I want to do it justice. And I also don't know how many more chances I'm going to have to do this. I
remember a long time ago when I was a kid and I was reading about a great baseball pitcher, and he said that often when he was on the mound in a clutch game, he wasn't saying, "Dear God, please make me perform great." He was just saying, "Don't let me mess it up." Is that sort of what goes through your head?
Yeah.
The other thing about this show in particular, I think, is that especially on 2 show days, you're like, oh, I can't believe we have to start this train again. But then as soon as you get out there, like, the show sort of lifts you. And we have an amazing cast of actors, dancers, singers, who also are the orchestra, mostly. And so everybody is busy, everybody's essential, everybody, I think, feels satisfied, and we're telling a story that matters, and it's good, it's a well-constructed show. And so once you get out there with your team, you know, we just all want to work toward
Trust the
awesomeness.
material.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah.
really supported by the whole cast and the structure of the show being so good. You know it's going to work, so you just get on and go.
Yeah, there is a reason. It is a classic.
Sure is.
Randy, Kate, thank you both so much for coming in. Again, Cabaret at Ogunquit Playhouse. It runs through August 10th. Information on tickets, showtimes, and everything else in the 207 section of our website or mobile app.